Hello, 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 and welcome to the Marketing, Branding, and Getting the Sales Show. We are here same time every week, and today we are talking about how to preempt potential client rejections and how to identify how to reduce them. So I think this is a really interesting topic today. But first, let's just do some quick introductions before we dive into our topic today. So Jess, why don't you kick us off?
Good morning, everyone. For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Jess. I make sure that your business has everything that you need to attract loyalty and retention, because only an increase as little as 5% in your customer retention will increase your revenues more than 25%. So it's huge. To do that, I've taken through a 6-step loyalty process, which creates a brand that stands out from competition, turns head, but also keeps customers coming back for more. So if you want to see more about that 6-step process, I'll pop a link in the comments below and you can have a look at that later.
Fantastic, thank you. And over to Stephen.
Good morning, everybody. This is Stephen Lerman from Chameleon BDS, for those of you that don't know me after all this time. And I help people get in front of customers if they don't like picking up the phone, making those outbound phone calls, or just don't have the resource to do it themselves. Then we can have a chat and I can do it for you.
Great stuff. And if you don't know me yet, my name is Una Doyle. I'm a business strategist and coach, and my business is Creative Flow. And I can help any established business to identify how to add 50K or more, it's usually more, to their sales revenues in only 50 minutes. And we do this using my impact-driven growth strategy model and the 5 steps to proven profits formula. So if you want to know more about that, DM me with 50K and I'll send you a video showing how it all works. All right, so let's talk about this whole idea of preempting potential client rejections and how to reduce them. Jess, what mistakes do you see people making in this area?
Not planning or mapping it out. So a big way to prevent it is making sure that you know your customer journey and you know what they're feeling and thinking at each step of that journey, and then coming up with possible solutions as to why they might come off the journey at that point. So a lot of businesses don't map this out. When businesses do map it out, they might miss a huge trick in a sense of they might think there's 2 types of touch points. You've got when people are becoming aware of your brand, your business or your product, and then when they're buying, and then that's it. So you need more touch points within that as well. So even if you have when someone's aware of your brand, when they're considering your brand, and then when they've bought your brand, still you're missing a trick because a lot of businesses stop at when someone becomes a customer for the first time. And as I was saying just a few minutes ago, it's all about building that loyalty and that retention. So making sure that you know what people are thinking and feeling, not only as they've bought, but as they start repeating and as they start to become loyal, that's where you're going to get that loyalty. So that's where I see a lot of businesses missing out on opportunity and not planning that out.
So because it's interesting, I think we all have got like 3 different angles on this because, I guess I'm looking at from a point of view of, well, what's the marketing, the messaging and the marketing that people are being exposed to, and also kind of looking at the sales process, which Stephen would also look at as well. What are the steps in the sales process that people would experience? So I know your business is more product focused, perhaps like in terms of your clients being more product focused, whereas I guess my clients tend to be more service oriented. Though I did get a message. I just remembered I got a message yesterday, and apparently I'm number 18 on a list of the top 80 e-commerce influencers. I was like, oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. So funny how these things get published, isn't it? But yeah, so I think, because like you're thinking about like product packaging, merchandising, and things like that, aren't you?
It can
Or
work
what
for
else are
both
you referring to?
B2B and B2C. It works for both. It's all about that reputation at each stage. It's all about what people want out of your brand, what people, whether it's a product or a service, whatever it is, you want to make sure people are happy. when I've done a lot of research on this, some stats have come up. 80% of companies will believe that they deliver this superior customer experience, this customer journey. They think each touch point, our customer is, is happy. What more can we do? But then when customers have been asked the same question, only 8% of customers believe they actually experience that great customer service and that brand.
Did you say 8?
8. So 80
Wow.
to 8. So we can get so consumed in our business, whether it's B2B, whether it's B2C, whatever it is, and we kind of think that we've got it because of what's going on internally. We kind of forget to look externally. So it's all about making sure that our customers, clients, whatever they're doing, wherever they are, at each stage of the journey, whether they don't even know who we are yet and we're just introducing what we do, or whether they've bought from us once or whether they've bought from us 1,000 times, we want to make sure we're keeping up that relationship with them. Which kind of the way that my journey kind of looks at it is probably overviewing the marketing and the sales. So it's not as actionable as we do this as the sales process, but it's more what's our reputation at each of these steps and how can we make sure that people carry on and not kind of lose interest and go to our competition. But yeah, and we all know that we'll all pay more for a great experience as well, won't we? When we've experienced with brands, we might go for the cheaper option first, and then as soon as something doesn't work out or it doesn't fit, we'll quite easily value a better service for a little bit more. So yeah, it's crazy.
Interesting. Stephen, what's your thoughts?
Well, for me, the whole customer journey, I have to do it for every single client that I'm working with. So, it's all about planning, isn't it, really, and really understanding your customer and getting to grips with their psyche so that you make it a great experience, so they want to come back to you every single time, rather than using you for a little bit and then going to try a competitor. So it's really trying to understand your clients. For me, understanding my clients so they can understand their clients. So I'm representing the prospect. I'm representing my client. So when I talk to the prospects, I've got to understand their journey. So I have to sit down with my client and really truly get to grips with what they're looking for with the prospects and truly understand, so that I can make that experience not only enjoyable but memorable, and also that they'll want to continue using my client in perpetuity. And I've got to do that for every single client that I work with. So for me it's a different journey, because I've got so much information to take in for every single client. But the mapping is so important, without question. But it all starts at the very beginning, is understanding the prospect or the customer, doesn't it? Irrespective, it's all about and being in their shoes, trying to get in their mind, in their shoes, and understand what they want. Because it's not about us, it's about them at the end of the day, isn't it? We want to make them happy. We want to keep them as long as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's I guess for me, like, part of me working with my clients' business model and making sure that it's working. So I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at their offers, their pricing, the kind of what marketing they're doing, the sales processes. So I guess it's quite granular from that point of view. It's not looking at kind of the reputation brand part of it, unless we know that that's an issue, in which case obviously we'll bring you in. So what tips do you have, or is there any other mistakes before we go on to tips?
No tips. Going straight to tips would work.
Yeah. What tips would you share for kind of how to make sure people do this in a good way?
So we need to keep tracking it as well. We need to make sure we're keeping up with this. This isn't a task to just do once and then kind of leave it. Another point as well, which Stephen, even what you were saying in a sense of how you use the journey as well. Once you map out this journey or map out this map, you'll be able, other people within your business will be able to use it just as much as you. So whether someone's taking over your social media, if you're a smaller business, whether you're outsourcing your cold calling and someone's taking over that part of your business, It's so everybody can jump on. And when people are starting to notice a bit of friction, when we're going, okay, we're getting loads of leads, inquiries, we're getting loads of people on our website, but no one's really buying. Why is that? What's going on there? We can look back at this map and we can look, okay, well, this is how they're feeling at that stage. That's maybe what feedback we've got. So then we can create some sort of plan to warm them people back up and kind of fix that part of the journey. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that it was clear that everyone could use this map as well. Keep track of your common complaints. So listen to them bad reviews as well. Don't just dismiss them. We can quite easily go, oh, that's a bad one, and dismiss it. Listen to them complaints, see what keeps coming up, and then you can use that to understand why people are jumping off the journey, as well as understanding why people are staying on the journey. So that's another great one.
So would that be, apologies for interrupting, so is that both positive and negative reviews, or just the negative ones?
Yeah, positive and negative. We tend to just be focused on the positive, though. We tend to ask for reviews and then focus on the positive words and then start to communicate that. But really, as well as we're doing that, listening to them negative ones as well and seeing what we can pull from there, and add it into your map. And make sure you've got this map in your guidelines as well. Make sure it's easy, accessible for everybody to use. Another tip was, as I mentioned before, making sure you have, I think there's all 5 touch points within your, six touch points within your mapping journey. A lot of businesses only focus on 3, and this is why you might find a little bit of friction between people going on to that next step and not knowing why aren't people buying from me? Why aren't people enticed? So there's 6 steps. First one is awareness. So that's when people are unaware of you, your solution. Maybe they're even unaware of the problem as well. They're just aimlessly going through life or business with this problem they might not even know exists. So talking to people that are unaware. The second part of the journey is when people start becoming familiar with that message. Maybe they're going, okay, yeah, I've seen Una before. I've heard her a couple of times. Still don't quite know what she's about, but yeah, I'm becoming familiar with her message and who she is. So you've got a different kind of way of communicating to them people as well. Then they move on to considering your brand, your product, your service. They understand, okay, I know I've got this problem now. I know that it can easily be fixed. And this person has already taken me through the aware and familiar stage of my thought process through this. So they're most likely going to come to you when they're considering. So the third step is consider. Once someone's considering to purchase within your brand, your business, your service, they're going to then buy. Hopefully, that's when they're going to move on to the next step, which is buying. A lot of businesses stop there and they go, okay, great, we've got a customer. Right, how can we get more people in our awareness? But we need to carry on that journey. We need to carry on communicating to them. We want them to become repeat customers, which is the 5th one. We want to see how they can keep buying again. Is there a drop off? Are people buying? We're putting an ad on Google or Facebook. People are buying that one time and then never again. So what can we do to fill in the gap when they become repeat customers or clients? And then we want to keep nurturing them as they repeat to become loyal. It's actually 6th one, when they're loyal customers. And loyal customers aren't just customers, yeah, they keep coming back for more, but they also shout about what you do to people that they meet, whether it's networking or friends or family. You know, they're more likely to try a new product or service you put out. They're more likely to stick up for you. They're more likely to do all this, act proactive about your brand, not just be buying it continuously. So your first step is to making sure you've got them 6 mapped out, in a table sort of thing. And then underneath each point, you can put the positive reviews, you know, some keywords of some positive reviews. Underneath that part of the table, you could put any negative words or feelings or thoughts from the same part of the journey. And then underneath that, you can then work out from yourself, looking at comparison. Okay, well, when people buy, I know that they're buying, so they're enjoying the, you know, getting to know our brand. But as soon as they buy the product or the service for some reason just isn't living up to their expectations. So what can we do, or how can we make that part of the journey better so people start repeating? So then you can have that kind of idea for solution at the bottom. And then that's when not only you can use that going forward, but someone in your marketing team can use it for content. Someone in your sales team can use it when they're talking to people. All these different people can use these same things that you find out.
Great stuff. And welcome, Chris. Wondered where you were. For those who aren't aware, it was a bank holiday here yesterday in the UK. Okay, so I want to go back to that's brilliant, you know, to kind of for people to be able to create that table. It strikes me though that if they haven't, you know, if they don't regularly talk to customers or perhaps even have a piece of client research commissioned or do it themselves, depending on the size of the company and what resources they have, then they're going to find it very hard to complete that table, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. And I think a lot of the time we can get confused between data and insights as well. So if like you say, if you've not got any research on this and you do some research but not talk to your actual clients or customers, you're finding data. So you might find 77% of people like X or 5% of people struggle with Y. You know, you're finding all this data, which is great. You can use that to back up what you're saying. But like you say, you really need to find them insights, which is talking to people and getting people to say in their own words what the feedback is. And then you can use that then to re-communicate it in other ways. So yeah, getting feedback, whether it's a phone call, with Google do these for easy forms, don't they? You can do a Google form, I think they're just called. It's free, easy to use. You can have a few good questions on there and send that out. There's all sorts of different ways that you can do it.
Yeah, fabulous. Chris just saying, great points as always, Jess. Amazing how some people don't consider the power of a ripple effect and recommendations. Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, I mean, and that's going back to that last stage, isn't it, where people are becoming evangelists, where they're going to be referring, you know, and all of that. And, you know, so and people talk about their, oh, what's the name of it? You know, their net something score. Is that score where would you recommend this product or service to your friends? I can't remember what it's called now. So but yeah, absolutely, it's having that information, which actually is a really good thing to have anyway. I mean, you want to be soliciting, you know, reviews and recommendations anyway with your clients. And just going back to that point as well about, you know, getting someone from being a one-time purchaser to being a repeat client, like that can absolutely leapfrog a company's profitability so much. And it's something that often people don't think about. So they don't think about reactivating older customers, well, past customers. I don't mean older as in they're more mature. But it's that whole thing of, well, they've been a client once, you know, so, you know, maybe they'll buy again. And yeah, it quite often these are just left. So when I talk to, you know, prospects or clients, and I was saying, you know, I will ask them, so okay, so what happens to people who bought but aren't currently clients of yours? And there's often just a, like, how do you communicate with them? We don't, is the usual answer, like kind of, you know, 8 out of 10 times. So people are really missing a trick there, so that not only is this good from a kind of brand and reputation point of view, but this is just good from a pure profitability point of view. It is so much more profitable to keep a client, as long as they're a good client and not a nightmare client, as opposed to finding new ones. I mean, you know, generally speaking, getting new clients is like one of the most expensive parts of a business. So if you can keep existing clients, it makes a massive, massive difference, doesn't it?
Just to touch on one point that you said, Jess, it's all about the emotional experience, isn't it? At the end of the day, you get more insight into a customer's perspective, don't you? Really, I mean, data's great, but it's nowhere near as powerful as insight. Really, I mean, you know, I think that's what companies tend to focus too much on is data. You know, and then you know, I've seen it in so many places where you're looking at they take market research, okay, and they always leave out the negative because they think it's going to. But you need to learn. You need the good and the bad in order to get balance, don't you? Otherwise, you're just going to get skewed information, which really is useless. So it's if you have bad as well as good, you learn from it, and then it allows you to move forward. So I don't understand why people just leave the bad out. It
I
makes no
think that's
sense.
to do with company culture, where they're afraid of kind of, oh, shoot the messenger scenarios. So if there's a company culture or team dynamics where people won't actually discuss and debate the realities of what's going on, and they prefer to brush things under the carpet, and so I think that's probably a key reason why. But a company with a good culture and a great leadership, then they're going to be kind of mining for the negatives, to root them out so they can be addressed, to be continuously improving. And that's the kind of approach we all need to have, isn't it? So yeah, I think that's a great point, Stephen. So brilliant. So Chris is just saying, also the power of bad experience or delay in responding and delivery. Yeah, absolutely. It's it can be very, how that kind of thing, how a bad experience is handled can take somebody from telling everyone that they know what bad experience they had to, oh my god, this happened and this is what the company did to resolve it. Wow, I'm really happy. Those that actually can create an evangelist. I mean, I'm not suggesting that people have things go wrong on purpose at all, but it can create that evangelistic customer, can't it, Jess?
Yeah, definitely. And it is quite easy to not only get them brushed under the carpet, but missing them and not really knowing that they're going on, these bad experiences. I found a list of most common complaints, so I want to read them out, and then if anyone
Yeah,
resonates with, oh, that might happen to me, or oh, I didn't have a clue that was a common complaint, then maybe it's something to look into. So going down the list, you've got website not searchable, so not being able to find them on Google. So even if someone can't find your website, you're not going to get to the point where you can get that feedback from them, are you? So again, making sure that you're aware of that. Product is unavailable or out of stock. That's one of my bugbears, when I find something, just what I need, and then it's out of stock and you don't know when it's coming back in or anything like that. Running into the same problem more than once. So if it is something out of stock, or if something keeps loading, I'm focusing on websites at the minute, but it could be anything, and that problem keeps happening, then that's going to push people away. Unhelpful customer service support on mobile phones. So again, people are more adaptable to that. So have you been able to be adaptable to that as well within your business? Slow load time on websites. The checkout process is too long or too difficult. Misleading advertising, so you think you're getting something that you're not. Return process is difficult. Broken promises, that's a big one. And customer support is slow. So all these things that are happening, all these are at the very beginning and early part of the journey as well. And these are things that would become unmissed to us because people just jump off. And if we're not tracking who's showing interest and who's jumping off, then we don't know kind of how to fix that up. But yeah, it's crazy how simple some of these are as well, how some simple changes can be made to make sure that these don't happen.
Some of these things, Jess, would lead to loyal customers, which is also automatically what you want, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you make the process simpler and reliable and trustworthy, these people are going to stay with you for much, much longer, because like you said, loyal customers will help increase your profitability, because it's so much harder to gain new customers. You've got your loyal band of followers that will, and as the company transitions over a period of time, they will stay with you, but all these little things along the way all add up to profitability at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's madness that
And
people make it so difficult.
Yeah, sorry, Stephen, interrupting, but how much more profitable and how much more valuable a loyal customer is compared to someone that's just had a great experience. If someone's just had a great experience and they buy again, then yeah, they're great, but that's not a loyal customer yet. So yeah, moving up to that loyalty and using emotion as well with what you touched on earlier. I could talk forever about that as well. So
Absolutely, yeah, it's so important. And I think that just going back to like those complaints that you listed and how easily a lot of those things can be resolved, it just shows sometimes I think there's I don't know, I just over the years I've come to the conclusion that true wisdom is often very, very simple. And I think it's often so simple that as humans, we think it can't be that simple. And we expect things to be complicated. We expect it to have to be rocket science like in order to achieve something. And actually it's not. It really isn't. And so, if you were to, if a business was experiencing, say, 3 of those complaints, and they had a meeting and they addressed each of those complaints. What do we need to do to make this complaint go away and never have a customer experience this again? And they would all they all know the business. They would be able to come up with strategies for making sure that that was prevented, and therefore that either they would get more clients and or they would have more repeat customers and create those loyal customers. And imagine how to be able to then go back to those complaints, to go back to those negative reviews, and be able to reply, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We have resolved this in the following ways. We appreciate your input. I hope that will, whatever, we hope that you will continue to be a loyal customer. Like that would, for somebody to be like, wow, I was listened to. Because we're all used to not being listened to, particularly by larger companies. And so just to kind of, for people to take that attitude and then be able to turn it on its head is not only going to increase their profitability, but is, to be, for that particular customer and for everyone else to see, well, how has this negative review been handled? Like that in itself is very powerful as well, isn't it? Right.
Yeah. It is so easy to avoid it as well, isn't it? And like you said, brush it under the carpet. So yeah, and I think a lot of it as well comes back to mindset, which you talk about a lot too. You've got that mindset, not only that structure and that culture, but individual mindset and culture mindset. So yeah, it's good.
And I think the other thing is, beg your pardon, I was just going to say, sometimes I think, I use the saying a lot, you can't read the label from inside the bottle. Sometimes it's hard for us that we can just be too close to our own businesses. And so working with someone else to help us bring us through a process, I think can be really, really helpful. Yeah. Great. Any other tips to add to this, Jess?
The main thing I wanted to just mention on the back of that loyalty is an example that hasn't done that very well, or is doing it well now, but in the past hasn't. So Sky, the huge company Sky, we all know Sky. They went through a phase of really over rewarding new customers. You'll probably remember if you had Sky a good few years ago. And your loyal customers, your prices were just going up and up and up and up each time. But all these new customers were getting these discounts, they were getting these benefits to a point where I know people would cancel and sign up again to be a new customer and, kind of cheat the system a little bit to be a new customer. So they were even encouraging their loyal customers to move back down the process. Soon enough, they kind of figured that out. And now they do a lot of loyalty rewards as well. So I know a lot of their marketing now is all based around loyal customers get this benefit and that benefit and this. So they've definitely switched it up. Just an example of a huge brand that we probably think are invincible and, never take the wrong turn, fell into that habit for quite a while, not rewarding them repeat customers. And then
I've seen that with a lot of banking as well. Yeah, definitely. And it's annoying, isn't it? It's like, oh, I don't get anything. Right, my loyalty is not being rewarded. Okay, maybe I'll go be loyal somewhere else then. I think Jen definitely creates that. Petros, I just want to say, I've seen your comment. I think that's a great question. It's not for today's topic. However, we're going to be looking at some upcoming topics, and I think that's a great one. So I think we'll build that in, actually. I don't think we have that one on our list of topics. So we will address that in a future live. Okay, so so got another comment from Chris here. It's also links to a session a few weeks ago about building relationships over the phone, customer service, ordering, providing information. When you speak to someone who sounds bored or doesn't know the answer or is dismissive or unhelpful, I'll just unshow this. yeah, so I thought there was more. Yeah, absolutely. It's a horrible feeling, isn't it? Like, no, we all like to feel special. You know, we want to have that kind of experience of, you know, that our loyalty is being, like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be rewarded, though that's nice, but to be acknowledged, and to be made to feel that we're not just a number, that we are a person and that we listen to. I think that can actually just be a very powerful experience that we can create for our customers. Indeed. Fantastic.
More and more of us as well want that from people and the brands that we interact with. So even if we think of personal relationships and friendships, you know, if someone kind of drops off the face of the earth for a few years and then all of a sudden messages you and wants to, you know, kind of, I don't know, asking for something, or I want something in return, you know, you think, oh, wait a minute, you know, we've not really kind of kept this relationship up. So a lot more people are kind of seeking a more emotional relationship from the brands or companies, the people that they interact with, professional as well as personally. So that's why some research that I'm doing at the minute, and that blurred line between B2B and B2C, where a lot more people within companies in B2B are looking now for that more emotional relationship with another company that they're going to use. There's always been a big stigma around B2B and B2C and how one can work for one and one can't work for the other. And I think them lines are being really blurred at the minute. I think it's coming more and more about that people do want to have that more relationship and that ongoing, and then different touch points, and checking in with the businesses and brands that they consume, whether it is personally or whether it's through a business. So yeah, I think that's really interesting as well.
At the end of the day, we're all people.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So yeah, and Chris just saying, I was just going to say it's all about the experience, and yes, and you're welcome, Petros. Okay, great. Well, look, I think let's keep this short and sweet. I think it's some great points. You've outlined exactly what people need to do. You know, if you want some help with that, you know, feel free to reach out to Jess. If it's more around the kind of marketing, messaging, sales processing, offers, business models, and that, contact me. If you want to actually have somebody help you to bring clients on board so you can then help them to be more loyal, then get in touch with Stephen. So we're all here. Feel free to reach out to us. We're all happy to chat. Have a fantastic week, everybody. We will be back here again at the same time next week. Thank you for some fab input there, Jess, and for your questions, everything as well, Stephen. We'll see you same time next week. Bye for now.
Have a good week. Bye.